The Lawyer and His Demon. Charles Erd Bailey was born June 21, 1925, in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Charles was an average student who always seemed to have trouble finding him. In junior high and high school, he was in many fights, not by his choice, but in self-defense in all cases. Once while attending junior high school, he was picked on by 5 kids from the school who waited for him on West 46th and Clark Avenue, knowing he was outnumbered after the smallest kid in the group flicked a cigarette at him and pushed him from behind. Charles, avoiding the fight, took off running to the school and escaped the attack. High school was better due to Charles keeping to himself and minding his business. He did have some fights, but always seemed to get out of them before they got physical. After the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii in December of 1941, World War II was in full force by the United States when Charles decided to enlist as an infantry soldier in the Army. During his 4 years, he wondered what he would do when out of the Army or if he would ever make it out alive. Charles saw combat in France, Germany, and Italy. Charles was wounded during a battle in Italy, shot in the left leg but recovered with a slight limp. When Charles was done with the Army, he decided to become a lawyer and decided to go to law school. It was not easy for Charles, and he almost quit law school because he lacked confidence. After 4 years of law school, Charles took the bar exam and barely passed. Feeling relieved, but not confident, he decided to become a public defender. Charles's problems continued. He lost more cases than he won. That is when he started drinking. Feeling like a failure, Charles found an upstairs apartment on Cleveland's west side on West 58th Street and Lorraine Avenue. This apartment would be convenient for him since the bus route on Lorraine Avenue would take him downtown, and he would then walk to the courthouse from the public square. On his way home, when getting off the bus, there was a bar called Rudy's Tavern on the other corner from the bus stop. Charles started going to Rudy's every night to relax with a whiskey and a beer. Going to court, losing cases, and stopping at Rudy's became his daily routine. After being a lawyer for 20 years, the court stress and the drinking took their toll on Charles. Now, after 3 or 4 hours at Rudy's, he would stagger out the front door drunk most days. He would cross Lorraine Avenue, walk over the bridge that went over the railroad tracks, never walking in a straight line, almost falling at times. The kids playing on the street would watch a drunk man trying to make it home, called him the old drunk, and laugh at him. He drank so much now that he was disbarred from being a lawyer for appearing in court drunk. Now with no job, he spent his money on whiskey and beer and very little on food. Finally, the last straw for Charles came when the landlord visited him. Mr. Tomac told Charles, "You haven't paid rent in months. You will be evicted if you do not pay for all 3 months this month." Charles said, "No problem, you will have your money," and closed the door. Charles knew he would not have it. He had no friends or family to help him, no one to go to for help. The apartment was filthy, full of empty food cans, whiskey, and beer bottles, all his trash and unwashed dishes, and dirty clothes. Even feces on the floor from being so drunk he could not reach the toilet. Poor Charles could not take it anymore. One day Charles went down the side of the bridge to the railroad tracks and hopped on a slow-moving train to who knows where. Charles had disappeared, a 68-year-old drunk with no life and still searching for one. The landlord, Mr. Tomac, had placed all his belongings by the curb, furniture, clothes, old family pictures, and medals from the war. The whole neighborhood came to see like it was a sideshow, but it was a sad day for that old man. The demon had taken him. About 8 years later, after Charles disappeared, the gossip being told around the neighborhood was that Charles found rail lines going to South Carolina and Florida and lived as a hobo. He worked odd jobs to buy whiskey and a little food from one hobo camp to another. Charles would tell his court stories around a campfire at night, and he decided to board another train in the morning. He boarded a train heading further south into Florida but never made it. His dead body was found in a boxcar with his demon, whiskey, by his side. Written by Alvin Rivera.